MLB winter meetings starts on Monday, and we all know what that means. Welcome back to another episode of the Met Shit Pod. I'm your host, Met Shitposting, and tonight I'm going to be doing an episode of my free agency predictions. Ooh, it's crazy, right? I haven't been on this in a while. I've been super busy with school and with work, and I'm working 2 jobs. Well, was working 2 jobs. I coach, so our season ended. I was working at where I work. Also, I just been super busy, and I wanted to come on and try to bring a little episode in. I'm still not very good at this, still getting the hang of this, but you know what? We're here to talk about some baseball, and here to talk about our Mets, right? So, without further ado, I'm going to give you guys my free agency predictions. I just talked it over with a few of my friends. We kind of made a collaborative decisions on some of these guys. You'll hear some big names. I try to get most of the big names. I think it kind of falls off after a little while, but you know, I think overall it does seem like a lot of the same teams might be getting these players, but you know, you look at teams that are contending and teams that want to push for these players, and that's really the only teams that you can think about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say that, the Pirates are going to sign Kyle Tucker. You think a contending team is going to sign him, right? Anyways, I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I can guess, and I'm going to go guess. So, without further ado, first guy up, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, we all know him. I'm sure, fucking hated him at some point because he'd always kill the Mets. Finished second MVP voting, 40-some home runs. We all know Kyle Schwarber. Now, we had a few teams in mind. Mets, Yankees, actually maybe not Yankees, but Mets, Boston, and Philly. I don't really think the Mets are going to go sign Schwarber, especially if Stearns has this emphasis on defense. I really don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Mets to sign Schwarber. And he's not really what we need right now. Sure, he'd be great, but he doesn't hit for a high average, and yeah, he hits 40 home runs. But he's only going to play DH, and that's, I'd rather. Excuse me. It's like 11:30 when I'm recording this. I'm fucking beat. But the Mets shit pod don't stop. I just don't think Schwarber's a fit for the Mets right now. And what David Stearns was trying to do. He wants defense. And what was the other thing I said? Mets, Boston, and one more. Whatever. I think he's going to go back to Boston. I think he ends up with the Red Sox. I think that the Red Sox were a big bet away last year from advancing in the playoffs. They're missing Roman Anthony. They were kind of carried by Trevor Story in that last game. They didn't really have anything going on offense. And I think if you add Kyle Schwarber into that and get a big boom bat in there, the Red Sox can be pretty dangerous. And I think if they get some pitching, the Red Sox could be very good. I always thought the Red Sox would be the ones to trade for Skubal. And I think that they would be automatic World Series favorites if they did. Because having a rotation of Skubal and Crochet would be ridiculous. But that's my prediction. Kyle Schwarber goes to Boston. That's one. Next, Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger last year was with the Yankees. He's been with the Dodgers. And he's been with the Cubs. He's a left-handed hitter. He can play anywhere on defense. And he's very good at defense. Which is why I think he's going to the Mets. I do think the Mets signed Cody Bellinger. Now, as I said before, Kyle Schwarber is not a defender. He doesn't play defense. And as I also mentioned, that Stearns wants a better defense. How do I say this? He wants a better defensive roster. Cody Bellinger can be put almost anywhere, in the outfield especially, and he can be put at first base. And he's a good backup in case Pete doesn't resign. Right? I think that hole in left field opens up for Bellinger, or in center. I mean, Stearns likes defense up the middle. I think Bellinger's a great defender, either in left, right, or center. I think you can move Soto in the left. Whatever outfield spot is not as important as the other, I think that's where you put Soto. I'd keep him in right field just because most guys are righties and they tend to pull the ball, and that's where Bellinger would be. So I think with his versatility and his very good, I don't want to say elite defense. It might be elite, whatever. Very, very good defense. Like Gold Glove caliber defense. Like he could win a Gold Glove. And be able to put anywhere at outfield and first could be great. And I really do think he's the perfect fit for the Mets. Now, so Kyle Schwarber to Boston, Cody Bellinger to the Mets. Next, I got Kyle Tucker. And we came to the consensus that Kyle Tucker will land in Toronto. That's right. The Toronto Blue Jays are not done spending. They put all the money in the Dylan Cease. Not all of it. But they're not done. They put a lot of money in Dylan Cease, but they're not done. I think it's, 7 years, $210 million? I think they give it back to Kyle Tucker. He makes this offense ridiculous. And the Rogers group is worth so much money, and they have so much money, and they will spend and spend and spend and spend. Even if you have him as a DH, so you can keep, I think Varsho is Varsho in the outfield, or we're sticking wherever. I just think that Kyle Tucker would be a great fit in Toronto, and I think that the Blue Jays would be World Series favorites if they sign Kyle Tucker and add a bat. Imagine Vladdy and Kyle Tucker hitting back-to-back if they re-sign Bichette. And they have Varsho and they got Clement that's a hitting machine. They're going to be very good. Now, Ranger Suarez. Nothing crazy here. I think Suarez re-signs with Philly. I don't really see him going anywhere. And I think that he'd be cheap enough for Philly to retain. Not that Philly has a problem with spending, but I think he might want to just stay in Philly. And I just don't really see him going anywhere. So, I got Schwarber to Boston, Bellinger to the Mets, Kyle Tucker to Toronto, Ranger Suarez back to Philly. Now, Framber Valdez. I think that Framber Valdez signs with Texas. I think he signs with the Texas Rangers. I think they'll have a great rotation of DeGrom, Eovaldi, and Valdez. And I didn't follow the Rangers at all last year, so I don't really know what their problem was, whether it was hitting or pitching. But, I mean, it definitely wouldn't hurt to add one of the top free agent arms to your team. And you just traded for Nimmo, and, he's probably going to do what Nimmo does. He's going to hit 260. He'll hit about 20 home runs, and hopefully gets on base. And I think Valdez would be a great addition to their rotation. I'm not pulling up any crazy advanced stats. I don't got all that right now. This is just based going off feeling. Bo Bichette, I think he re-signs with Toronto. I don't really see him going anywhere. I think there's no way you don't re-sign your career-long guy after what he did in the World Series, especially coming off an injury, hitting that home run. There's no way he leaves. That'd be ridiculous. I think the same thing with Pete Alonso. I think Pete comes back. Again, there seems to not be a big market for Pete. It seems to be the Mets and the Red Sox. And I'm sorry, but if Steve Cohen really wants Pete to come back, he's winning a bidding war with Boston. Now, I do think Pete would be a great signing for Boston, and I do think that if he doesn't re-sign with the Mets, he'll sign with Boston, and he'd be a great addition to Boston. But I really see Pete back in the blue and orange. What else we got? Alex Bregman. Me and my friends think that Alex Bregman is going to go to Detroit. I think that they can get him for a little bit cheaper. I think his age makes him a little bit cheaper. No one's going to sign to a long-term deal. And I mean, his production is good, but it's not like it was. And I think if Detroit really wants to go all in, they got to spend. If they're not going to spend on Skubal, they got to spend elsewhere. And I think Bregman could put them over the top offensively. And then you could figure out some pitching later on. Maybe this time Merrill Kelly. Yeah. Oh, and we're watching the college football playoffs. Number 17, Virginia Tech just tied up with 22 seconds remaining in the game. Wow. They were down by 10 when I last checked. That's crazy. Also, go Dogs. Fuck Alabama. Fernando Mendoza is the clear Heisman candidate, even though his post-game interview was a little nutty. Kurt Signetti is insane. And, I don't know. I don't think Bama should be out. But, like, they look terrible today. So, like, I wouldn't really care if they were out. Like, before I was saying that you can't take them out if they lose because it's a conference championship game. And I feel it's dumb that you get punished for playing an extra game. But, like, they got mollywopped today. Like, Georgia wiped the fucking floor with them. Anyways, back to baseball. Good Dogs. Harrison Bader. I think Harrison Bader might end up in Miami. I think they try to solidify a little bit of their outfield, and Bader seems to be producing anywhere that he goes. He produced in New York, in St. Louis, in Minnesota, in Philly. I mean, I think Miami could really go all in for a guy like Bader. That prove that he can play anywhere in any stadium, in any environment. Not that Miami is like a big, tough place to play. It's nothing like New York. But I think just having him being around all these teams can really help his case and be like, hey, I've played in big markets, I played in small markets, right? I'll be good. Merrill Kelly, I think signs with Kansas City. I think that if they lose Bubic, if they want to trade Bubic, they'll need some pitcher in there. I mean, behind Lugo, they have a nice 1-2 punch with Lugo and Kelly. Be good. I think it'd be best for Kansas City to sign Merrill Kelly, keep Bubic, keep Lugo, and figure it out from there. I mean, you have a great shortstop, and you got some young players. You know, Vinny Pasquantino, the Pasquatch, and you got Jack Caglione, who was a rookie and had a rough year. You know, but he's young, he's developing. Right? You gotta give it time. JT Realmuto. Now here's a big one. Here's a team that I haven't really mentioned yet. I think JT Realmuto signs with the Tampa Bay Rays. For some reason, I see that. He's a declining, older catcher. I don't think that he has a big market. Yes, he plays every day. But his bat speed has gone down. His own speed has gone down. He doesn't hit like he used to. He's just not a top guy anymore. And I think that Tampa Bay could be the team to kind of go in for this kind of guy. Kind of like how like the Jets would sign guys out of their prime, like Ed Reed and Ronnie Lott and who else did they sign? Chris Johnson, you know, like that kind of vibe, you know. That's what I'm feeling. Edwin Diaz. You guys aren't going to like this one. You're not going to like this one. And I'm sorry. I already have the Mets signing Bellinger and Pete. I don't think that they sign Bellinger and Pete and Diaz. They have Devin Williams as a backup, I guess. There's still other guys on the market like Robert Suarez that you can sign. So unfortunately, I think when it comes down to decision making, you can't replace Pete's bat. And you kind of already have a solution in the bullpen if Diaz walks. So I think that Diaz ends up in LA wearing a Dodgers uniform. I mean, they have the money to do it. They don't have a good closer. Tanner Scott is bad. Luckily in the playoffs, you know, Yamamoto was a beast. Roki Sasaki was a beast. But that's not like an every game thing. That's only for playoffs. You throw your starters in there. And I think Edwin Diaz would shut the door on, like, everything. And I think he'd be welcomed in LA. I think he'd adapt very well. But, like I said, I don't think the Mets get Diaz, Alonso, and Bellinger. I would love if they got Alonso and Diaz. I wouldn't mind not getting Bellinger and figure something else out. But I think Diaz is a Dodger, in my opinion. Mike Yastrzemski, I think he goes to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think that the Pirates are acting like they want to buy and that they're going to go all in, but I really don't think they're going to, so they're going to sign a guy like Yastrzemski and be like, oh, we signed a big free agent, but like he's a bench player on a decent team. Like, he's not his father. Jorge Polanco, I see him going back to Seattle. I mean, he was electric in the playoffs. I mean, like, how can you not re-sign that guy, you know? But, again, the Mets didn't re-sign Jose Iglesias, so who knows? Who knows? Ryan O'Hearn, I think Ryan O'Hearn goes to Philly. I think he might be DH, or Bryce Harper might move to DH, like one or the other. I think they could rotate them in, righty, lefty, something like that. And then last but not least, I got Chris Bassett going to Miami. I think he's a good, just like reliable back end starter, middle of the rotation starter. And I suppose if they trade one of their pitchers for prospects, he'd be a good like fill-in piece. And I can see him going to Miami. Him and Harrison Bader, two former Mets. So to go over the list so far, I got Kyle Schwarber going to Boston, Cody Bellinger going to the Mets, Kyle Tucker going to Toronto, Ranger Suarez going back to Philly, Framber Valdez going to the Texas Rangers, Bo Bichette going back to Toronto, Alonso going back to the Mets, Alex Bregman going to Detroit, Harrison Bader going to Miami, Merrill Kelly going to Kansas City, JT Realmuto going to Tampa Bay, Edwin Diaz going to the Dodgers, Mike Yastrzemski going to Pittsburgh, Jorge Polanco to Seattle, Ryan O'Hearn to Philly, and Chris Bassett to Miami. That's my final predictions. I was recording an episode on the trade market for pitchers. I looked at Chris Bubich, Freddie Peralta, and Joe Ryan. I was recording that, and then I got caught up with something, so I will record that again tomorrow or sometime this week, hopefully, and have a full episode on that. But for right now, that's all I really got. I'm very tired, and I would like to go to bed. But I hope you guys agree with my predictions. And sorry for the rage bait that I'm probably going to do. I'm probably going to have a picture of a free agent be like breaking and then be like the episode is out. But sorry, not sorry. I need you guys to watch it. Apologize. Not really. If you guys like me, you'll watch it. And I'm sorry. But I need to figure out a way to get people to watch this, and the rage bait is probably the best option. But anyways, good night. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good morning, and good night, whatever the fuck it is. And yeah, let's go Mets.